That's me. Okay, so yeah, it is shared, and I want to welcome our Facebook viewers to the U-Turn show. We got about 2 minutes before the radio show starts. So, yeah, so it should be live on your page too, Keandra. And in about a minute, I'm gonna switch the microphones to the radio show, so you won't be able to hear me until the show starts, but you'll be able to hear the prompt and everything that starts the show. Matter of fact, I'm about to do that now.
Can you see it on my page?
Oh, sure. What are y'all, McDowell Ray?
Ray. I probably gotta approve it. I don't want to lose them. 1 second.
WBISLP 1069, Winterville, Ayden, Grifton, Southside, Greenville, North Carolina.
I try to be a better man, but folks just don't understand. Trying to do all I can to deal with this addiction in me. Lord, I want to change. I can't stay the same. But the sins that in my vein, it's trying its best just to kill me.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the U-Turn show once again. This Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Here at Awesome Radio. Make sure, if you haven't already, visit www.wbisawesomeradio.org and download our apps either on the Google Play, the Apple Store, or Alexa. Also, make sure you call in the 252-756-2008 if you want to interact with the show. Today is a very special show. Today, I have a very strong and determined guest, my sister Keandra McDole Ray. How you doing today?
Hello, how you doing? Thank you for inviting me.
All right, thank you for tuning in. And a lot of people don't know, I actually just was informed about this situation, but Keandra McDole Ray is the sister of our brother Jeremy Mcdowell. And Mr. Jeremy Mcdowell was in for all intents and purposes, executed by the Wilmington, Delaware Police Department. And this situation happened on September of 2015, correct?
Yes.
All right. And once again, it got a little, it got a lot of attention, locally and for a while, nationally, and even, some global attention, but it was pretty much swept under the rug along with a lot of other things. So we're going to if I can pull this up real quick so our audience will be able to see this video. And just bear with me. Okay, so just to give y'all a taste of what happened, hope y'all can see this video. And there you see Mr. McDowell, who is a quadriplegic in his wheelchair. He's already been shot one time. And there you hear about 15 shots where Mr. McDowell is shot 15 more times. So we see right there on the tape, I feel, and actually everybody who sees the tape feel like it's senseless. So we're going to let Miss McDowell tell us a little bit about the situation and a little bit about who her brother was. Now, how did that situation come about as far as him being having to have contact with the police?
First of all, my brother had Wilmington Police knew my brother. My brother was no angel or whatever. He sold a little weed and stuff like that. He'd been to jail before, so he never was an angel, but he was a good guy. September 23rd, 2015 was just a day I will never forget. My brother was actually robbed minutes before the police got there. He was shot during the course of the robbery. He was robbed for weed, his money, and he was shot in the back of the thigh. My brother was already a paraplegic in a wheelchair, so he couldn't feel anything from the waist down. I think that he knew that he got shot in the robbery because, of course, he could hear the shot go off, but he couldn't feel it. So he was tussling with the guy or whatever. He got robbed. The guy ran off. How I know this? Because a daycare worker in the area says she's seen a gentleman run by her daycare, and he had long braids in his hair. And she said that's what made her put her daycare on lockdown. So it was a guy by the name of Nate who was working at a detailing shop in the area, and he heard the shot. He said he stopped detailing a car. He came out and he seen my brother knocked out of his wheelchair with his pants down to his ankles. He said he went to my brother, asked him if he was okay. And he said, my brother said, yeah, I'm good, man. Can you help me flip my wheelchair back over so I can get in the wheelchair? He said he did just that. He flipped the wheelchair back over, and he said my brother pulled himself up in the wheelchair. He said he tried to pull his pants up, and then he pulled himself back up in the wheelchair, and he pulled his pants up. So no, he asked him again if he was fine, and he said Bam Bam said yes. That's what we call him, Bam Bam. Bam Bam said yes, I'm fine or whatever. He said he left and went back to detailing the car. He said within 3 minutes he hear all this commotion. So he comes back out, and when he came back out, that's when that video starts. He immediately started recording. It was already 7 officers up there who were trying to get my brother to get on the ground. In the investigation report, some officers was telling him to get out the wheelchair, stand up, put your hands up, this, that, and the third. He's a paraplegic. Obviously, he can't stand up.
Yes.
So the last officer on the scene came like a mad person up the street with a shotgun already aimed and cocked back. He ran across one of our busiest streets. He could have got hit or anything. He wasn't worrying about that. He got to my brother. He gave him 3 commands in a matter of 3 seconds. Show me your hands. Put your hands up. Give me your hands. Boom. Shot my brother in the neck with a shotgun. In the neck. So after he shot my brother, the other officers said that they claim, this is all an investigation report on the Delaware's DOJ website, everything that I'm saying. The other officer said they was yelling at the officer to take cover, take cover, take cover. We have the scene under control. And he said that he never heard the officers because he had tunnel vision. After the first officer who shot my brother in the neck with a shotgun, the other officer shot him 15 more times. The only reason why he stayed up in the wheelchair as long as he did was because the bullets were keeping him up in the wheelchair. The medical examiner stated that just from that shotgun blast, I don't know if anybody's familiar with a shotgun and being shot in the neck. She said that he was already dying. He would have been dead within a matter of 8 minutes from the shotgun blast. And that's what happened. It was only 4 officers who shot. It was a total of 8 officers there. It was only 4 officers who shot. 4 officers were rookie officers or who were being trained that day.
Okay.
Later on, we heard that someone had dialed 911 after they heard the shot. They had dialed 911 and said that it's a crazy man. It's a crazy man in a wheelchair. He's waving a gun. He's waving a gun. He has a gun. And you hear the 911 operator and the 911 caller going back and forth and back and forth. And about 10 minutes in, you hear the 911 operator state that, ma'am, don't go up there to him. They're going to take him out. They're going to take him out when he get there. And I questioned that part too as well. Why would the medical examiner say that they were going to take him out? They already knew what they were going to do to my brother before he got up there. He stated that he was actually having conversations with another 911 operator in the office, and they were referring to a different situation. So he wasn't referring to my brother's situation.
That's what he claims.
Yes, correct. Later on, if you go to the investigation report, you will hear the interview with the 911 caller. She recanted on her lie when she called 911 and said she seen him with a gun. He's waving a gun. She said that she never actually seen him with a gun or seen a gun on him. She was going off of the shot that she heard, which was a shot from the robbery.
So she was talking about your brother who had been shot. So
yep.
Then she claimed, because I listened to that tape too, and she was very adamant, hurry up, get here. This guy's got a gun and he's crazy. Like, y'all need to hurry up and get here. I'm not going to go close to him and everything like that. So I listened to the tape, and she was very, for lack of a word, dramatic in talking to the police. So, but yeah, and still, you said there were 7 officers already on the scene before, and I think y'all call him Shotgun Joe.
That's what we call him, Shotgun Joe.
His name was Joe DeLuce, the officer.
Joseph DeLuce. Yep, that's his name.
Okay, Joseph DeLuce ended up shooting your brother within about, seconds. If you guys, watch the video, you see as soon as he approached
3 seconds.
Mr. Mcdowell, he shot him within 3 seconds, while officers were already on the scene and didn't see any need to open fire. Now, what happened with Officer DeLuce? Was there any other officers charged?
No, no officers was charged on a state level. We had protests demanding for the feds to come in and investigate, which we did have them come in and investigate. They didn't find anything wrong and release the officers. No justice. The attorney general did state, 2 attorney generals did state in an investigation report that they felt as though Joseph DeLuce should never be in a position where he is holding or has to have a gun on his person because of his actions. They actually wanted to give him a charge of assault third degree assault or something like that, 1st degree or something. But because we had this law in place in Delaware that states that the only thing an officer has to say or feel is that they felt threatened for their lives, and they can shoot you, they can kill you, they can murder you, execute you, and get away with it. Even if it's video evidence, even if we got them on recording saying they was going to kill you, they can get away with it. So that's why they claim that no one was charged for executing my brother.
And how long did it take them to come to that conclusion?
I want to say on a state level, it was about a year. And then the feds, they did their investigation. I want to say in less than 60 days. We actually got a call. Obama actually sent his administration down here to have me and my family meet in this room in Delaware, and to basically tell us that they wasn't charging the cops on the federal level.
Okay. And so and then in several of the reports, and you mentioned this as well, about they said your brother did have a gun, but the gun never showed up in the investigation report pictures till about what, 2 or 3 years later, I think you said?
4 years later, exact. What happened was a new witness had came up. First of all, when my brother got executed on September 23rd, 2015, it was 3 different stories put out from the news that's what took place that day. He was suicidal. He had a self-inflicted gunshot wound. That he was waving a gun. The last story that they said was that he was reaching for a gun. So they put out 3 different narratives. From the gate, we already knew that my brother never had a gun that day. He didn't have a gun.
And why is that? Because you explained that to me.
Because, okay, so the gun that my brother would carry would be a gun that his girlfriend at the time had in her name that he would carry. Okay. My brother and his supposedly girlfriend got into an argument the day before, and she came and took the gun from him. You know how female and men get in arguments, we get petty. Oh, give me my stuff, this. So she came and took the gun from my brother, and my brother snatched her pocketbook that day.
Okay. So that's how he had the pocketbook when he got.
And it's crazy. It's crazy because the police released information at one point that the girlfriend tried to turn that gun into Wilmington Police at one point.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
so what happened was it was a new witness that came about 4 years later, and I went to the Attorney General at this time. Her name is Kathleen Jennings, and we have held protests in front of her house at her front door, demanding that she reopen the case and charge these officers. Well, she ended up reopening the case, and since day one of my brother being executed, I always stated, if he had a gun, where's the picture of the gun? Y'all keep staying and locked into this lie that he had a gun. Where is the picture of this planted gun that y'all placed on my brother? And nobody ever released it. So Kathleen Jennings and her team reopened my brother's case and did a investigation. And when they did an investigation, we had held protests demanding the same thing that we've been demanding since day one, that you charge these officers. And where is the pictures of this supposedly planted gun that y'all claim my brother had on his person? And after she concluded in her investigation that she basically agreed with the former Attorney General, Matt Dinn, all of a sudden they released a picture of this rusty gun that doesn't work. They put in a report that the gun didn't work. There's nothing the gun didn't work. And this was 4 years later. And I asked them, the news came to me and wanted a statement from me. And I said, I want a question. If this was the gun that they planted on my brother and that they claim my brother had, why did it take 4 years for y'all to release this picture of this gun? Her exact words was, the DOJ did not realize that the picture of the gun was not in the initial investigation report.
The DOJ
did not realize that the key evidence for them was never released to the public in the investigation report. And they even went as far as showing a picture of where they found the gun at on my brother. And in the investigation report, one officer said that she had to move the gun. One said they found it in his boxers. One said they found it on the ground by him. They said that if you watch the video when my brother fell out the wheelchair, his foot stopped his wheelchair from moving. His foot fell behind his chair, so it was no way that his wheelchair will roll or any way or direction. The picture that the DOJ released out to the public with the gun, my brother's wheelchair was crashed up in the back of somebody's car within 6 to 7 feet away from his body, and the gun was over to the right side of him, the whole wrong side of him.
Yep, and I'm gonna show this picture because if you see the video, the first video we showed, that you saw that Mr. Bam fell out of his wheelchair and his wheelchair remained still. So I'm going to show you this picture. I think that's the one you're talking about.
That is the exact picture. Yes.
So you see the gun. You can't hardly see it. Let me see. You
right
see
there.
The gun right there.
My brother's body is like 6 to 8 feet away from there.
Yeah, the brother's body is way over here. You see the brother's feet right there. So
correct.
There's no way, first of all, that the gun will end up over there, because if you saw the video, you know, he just fell.
What side did he fall on? Correct.
He fell on the left side, so the gun would not be on that side.
Correct.
So,
and the wheelchair would not be pushed up to the back of the car, because if you go back and watch the video, his foot stopped the wheelchair from moving even a centimeter. His foot was behind the wheel, which stopped it from moving at all.
Yeah. So do you think that scene was staged?
Yeah, because yes, for one, my brother's body was laying out on the ground for almost 4 hours that day. Okay, his body was underneath of a white sheet. When they first came to the scene, they came up there and made a makeshift tent around the scene so nobody could see anything.
Okay. So that gave them perfect and ample opportunity to kind of stage it the way
it's not kind of, because we know that he didn't have a gun. So where did this gun come from? I Dream of Jeannie didn't just drop off this gun. Like, where did it come from? The only people who was there was my brother's dead body and the police.
And you mentioned something that gun was found in another case.
No, not the gun. So one of the officers involved, Corporal Mcdowell, who was involved, he's actually been indicted because, and my brother got executed in 2015. In 2018, he shot a 16-year-old 4 times with a gun. After they did an investigation in there, they found out that he changed the barrel of the gun in that scene, in that crime.
And so one of the officers
one of the officers who shot my brother, was involved with indictment for changing the barrel of his gun.
Okay.
For shooting another black teen.
Okay. So we got to take a quick station break, but we're gonna come back with a little bit more of the aftermath of the execution of Jerry McDowell. But this is the U-Turn Show. Stay tuned with us. We have our special guest, Keandra McDole Ray. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Greetings in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. This is yours truly, Pastor Nell Smith Ward, and I am excited, and I would love to invite you to my album release party. That's right, Saturday, April 30th. What time? 3 p.m. Location, State Street Community Church, downtown Raleigh. The address is 1200 South State Street, downtown Raleigh. This is a ticketed event. For more information, 919-924-1945. Along with me, our special guest will be Elder Jarrell Smalls. You don't want to miss this grand occasion. This is Pastor Nell Smith Ward inviting you to my album release party. God bless.
Jesus came by and he touched me and he washed my sins away. I started running, I started shouting, couldn't find no time for doubting. You know that
Partial funding for this program is brought to you by Meemaw's Liquidation. Meemaw's Liquidation is where you can find furniture, home decor, appliances, tools, toys, and much more for less than the actual retail costs. Meemaw's Liquidation, 400 North Green Street, Greenville, 252-364-8121. That's 252-364-8121. Meemaw's Liquidation, open Monday through Friday, 10 o'clock a.m. a.m. to 6 o'clock p.m. and Saturday, 10 o'clock a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. Find what you are looking for at Mima's Liquidation. Brand new items at liquidated prices. 252-8121. Thank you, Mima's Liquidation, for your support.
And we are back here on the U-Turn Show at Awesome Radio 106.9 FM here in Greenville, North Carolina. Make sure you once again visit the website, www.wbisawesomeradio.org. Here with our special guest, Keandra McDole Ray, who keeps the fight for justice for her brother, Jeremy McDowell, who was murdered by the Wilmington Police in 2015. Real quick, a couple of comments. Jay Renee said they staged the crime scene in this case. It's outrageous. Once again, our sister Jay Renee, these Wilmington's officers have repeated offenses against the people. And excuse me, my father Roger Taylor says, keep speaking the truth. Christ is on the side of truth.
Thank you
all for tuning in. And Jay Renee's comment brings something else we talked about to mind. You said that the police knew who your brother was. I think you discussed a previous incident where your brother was kind of mishandled by the police.
Yes. When we was like, this was my brother before he had just gotten into his wheelchair, got shot and was paralyzed or whatever. And the police, he was on Rodney Street. That's the street that we was born on. And the police pulled up on him. He had 2 bags of weed on him. They put him in a police car. And we thinking that they took him down turnkey before the 2 bags of marijuana that he had.
What's turnkey?
Sorry, Wilmington Police Station. Sorry, you guys.
Yeah,
we thinking that
I knew what you was talking about.
Yeah, we thinking that they took him to Wilmington Police Station. Well, I get a phone call that the police has your brother at Byard School, which is about 3 blocks away from Rodney Street.
Okay.
So I run around there. I'm all out of breath. They dumped my brother out the wheelchair in the middle of the school and put his wheelchair at a stop sign and told him he better find his best way to get to his wheelchair. If I wouldn't have came there, my brother would have had to drag himself from the middle of the school to the end of it to go get his wheelchair. Shotgun Joe knows my brother. They have had plenty of altercations to the point where he has went on people's property to go up steps to go see my brother and go through his pockets and see if he has drugs on him or something like that. Like Shotgun Joe, Joseph DeLuce, he's very familiar with my brother. He's like been on the force. He was Antique at the time. He's been on the force for a while.
Okay. And that's what happens a lot of time in the small towns, like small town I'm from, Goldsboro. Here's the same issues happening where police come into neighborhoods and they know, they have a familiarity with people who may have been in trouble, which still doesn't give them a right to harass them every time they see them. But also you mentioned something else. I think you said the night that your brother was killed, you and Emily were putting up
we had a visual on Rodney Street after everything happened, and everybody else had went home that night, so it was just me and my mom. I was sitting in between 2 houses, and we had like a candle visual set up for my brother with like pictures of him and stuff. And it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. We were just sitting out there. Next thing you know, police just come out of nowhere. When I say out of nowhere, I mean no police vehicles at all. Next thing I know, I hear my mother screaming, "Kiki, do not move." I'm like, why? Like, I looked down and there was red beams pointed at me and my mother. That night, it was so many cops. I had to been like 15 cops. And I guess the neighbors and stuff heard the commotion and everybody came outside. And only thing you seen was like people's camera lights on their phone. Like people just immediately started recording. This was like 2 o'clock in the morning. Mm-hmm. My mom said that like her whole life flashed before her eyes. Like It was a very scary encounter. Y'all had just executed my brother. Y'all already knew that that's just something that we do in Wilmington. When somebody passes away, we do a candle vigil and might play some music or whatever. But me and my mother was out there by ourselves, and they came out there with shotguns out of all things. I remember saying this, out of all things, shotguns,
And
and
what was
pointed at,
what was their reason that they
they
gave you that?
claimed that they got a 911 call that the guy next door was beating up his girlfriend or something. But like I said, you got a 911 call for that, but you're putting beams on me and my mother, on the mother and sister of somebody who y'all just executed. What are y'all doing here?
So after that, you know, I know that, you know, you were very involved in protests, you and your family and, you know, other community members. What type of help did y'all get, or what type of opposition did y'all get, you know, during that time?
We immediately, my brother got buried. We buried my brother. No, we had a funeral for my brother, but he didn't get buried for 30 days after the funeral because we hired for a private autopsy to be done on my brother. So I started protesting like in October, like October 17th, I do believe was the first protest. We had so many people come and say that they were helping and that they were there to support us. And one individual specifically, he helped get like our banners that we needed for protesting. He bought me a megahorn. He bought food for my family while everything was going on. Just did stuff that I thought at the time, and me and my family at the time thought that it was out of the compassion of his heart. Well, after the lawsuit was final, we were sitting in my cousin's house with our lawyers going over the ending result for the lawsuit. And he popped up, a knock on the door. He popped up at my family's house with receipts that added up to $20,000 that he wanted to get paid for assisting us and helping us with fighting for justice for my brother in the beginning. And my mom was like, if that's what it takes for me to never see that man again, then give him that money. I just thought that it was sickening. I mean, he even have receipts for pads, like for food, for cups, for everything.
So he was like a Trojan horse, basically.
I
And
never thought that would happen.
and let's talk about, you know, we got about 3 minutes before the next break, but let's talk about the settlement for a minute, because you said that you were the one who had to negotiate that. How was that experience for you?
Oh my gosh, it was a headache. It was because, for one, when the lawsuit, I'm thinking at the time that that there wasn't a civil and a criminal. Like, I'm learning as I go. So the whole time I'm sitting in negotiations, I'm thinking that I'm in there for these officers to get charged. Like, I know it's going to be a payout, but I thought the payout comes with the officers being charged. And that wasn't what the case was. So negotiation was very hard because I didn't come in there with a dollar amount or anything like that. I was coming there to find out what charge was these officers going to be charged with and how long it was going to take for them to go to jail. And it was very different. It was a very different experience. My mother was ended up being incarcerated, so she had to sign power of attorney over to me to go back and forth with these lawyers, which yeah.
What was it like? I know you mentioned one thing that kind of held it up for a while that you didn't want to do, that they wanted you to do as a part of this settlement.
They actually wanted me to sign a gag order. A gag order is something like the one for me. It would have been that I wouldn't be able to speak on my brother's name after this lawsuit. Like, no protest, like we can do memorials and stuff, but no fighting for him. And that held up the lawsuit for about a week or so, because I wasn't going for that. There's no way that you're going to execute my brother and then tell me that I can't fight for him. I can't, like, no, it's not happening. So it was very interesting. Then they had came up with a dollar amount that the city of Wilmington wanted to pay $250,000. And I remember they came up with a final amount of $500,000, and they told me that the city's insurance company will only cover $250,000, so they would have to go to the taxpayers to get $250,000 and make it $500,000. And I told them no. Well, my lawyers at the time told me that if I don't agree to $500,000, that they will go to the prison and get my mother to sign off on this dollar amount. And I pulled that nice, pretty piece of paper, that power of attorney over and said, you're not going to ask her nothing because she signed her life over to me.
And that was your lawyers or the state lawyers who said
that was my lawyers.
Yeah, so they were pretty much just trying to get the situation
the Delaware way. No, it's not the situation. It's the Delaware way.
Okay, so we got another take a quick station break again, but we're going to be right back to talk about, what you're doing to continue to fight for justice. We'll be right back.
Partial funding for this program is brought to you by The Breakfast Bar, Comfort Food, 605 Albemarle Avenue, Greenville, 252-565-8310. Open Tuesday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Sunday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Closed on Monday. Dine in or take out. No delivery. 252-565-8310. Chicken and waffles, shrimp and grits. The Breakfast Bar is a Southern breakfast and brunch restaurant located at 605 Albemarle Avenue, Greenville, 252-565-8310. Comfort Food. The Breakfast Bar is not just a restaurant. It's a place where family and friends can have a wonderful time while enjoying a multitude of delicious Southern-inspired breakfast and brunch dishes. It's breakfast and brunch for the soul. Comfort Food. Thank you, The Breakfast Bar, for your support.
Greetings in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. This is yours truly, Pastor Nell Smith Ward, and I am excited, and I would love to invite you to my album release party. That's right, Saturday, April 30th. What time? 3 p.m. Location, State Street Community Church, downtown Raleigh. The address is 1200 South State Street, downtown Raleigh. This is a ticketed event. For more information, 919-924-1945. Along with me, our special guest will be Elder Jarrell Smalls. You don't want to miss this grand occasion. This is Pastor Nell Smith Ward inviting you to my album release party. God bless.
Jesus came by and he touched me and he washed my sins away. I started running, I started shouting, couldn't find no time for doubting. You know that
Yes, and we are back with the U-Turn Show here on Awesome Radio 106.9 FM here in Greenville, Aidenville, Aiden, and the surrounding areas. We're back with Keandra McDole. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. And I assume you're talking to your husband.
Yes, he's like, are you okay? I'm live.
Okay. Yeah, so real quick, Christina Kelly, who's been very instrumental with you in fighting for justice, says the way the police have harassed the McDowell family proves malicious intent and the harassment has continued, which brings me to another part of the conversation I do want to touch on. What type of harassment have you receive? I know you mentioned, being sued, being threatened. So give the public a little bit.
So we'll work it up to the point of being sued by the Attorney General and Deputy Attorney General of the state. In the beginning, it was just like death threats, like even like through the news outlets, social media pages and stuff like this, death threats. And then I started receiving sticky notes on my car windows when I come out in the morning that told me that if I don't stop doing what I'm doing, I'm going to end up like my brother, dead. Someone was tampering with my vehicle. So I used to have to get like my uncle to check my brake lines and make sure that it was safe for me to ride my car every day. One police officer took my tag off my car and told me my tag was fake and I had to drive home with no tag. It just doesn't stop. We joined another guy by the name of Lamont Moses got killed while sleeping in his car in Delaware, and we joined with the family to fight for justice for him. Me and my best friend got sued by the Attorney General and Deputy Attorney General and ended up in a chancery court.
Okay, so
Um,
why did they sue you?
because we were protesting at the Deputy Attorney General's front door. Well, not on his front door, but in the street at his house.
Okay.
And we were demanding for them to release the investigation report to let us know what is going on. It's been long enough. They
And how
kept
long was that after the execution?
of Lamont Moses.
Okay, okay.
That we got sued by the Deputy Attorney General and Attorney General for
Protesting.
protesting with Lamont Moses family. Yeah, I know the process. I've been through it. So I'm like, right now they're just playing around. Like, we need to apply pressure now. So we protest there just for them to release the investigation report. Let transparency is basically why we was protesting.
Mhm.
And yeah, we got sued.
So what was the result of the lawsuit?
Oh my gosh, they was trying to send my Mcdowell to jail. They was trying to set they seriously, they was trying to set a precedent, like
Okay.
not just for Delaware. When a precedent is set in any court, it's country, like worldwide. So
Mhm.
if any other protesters was sued by anybody for protesting, our case would have been the cases that the attorney general used to prosecute the protesters. So we was just like fighting. ACLU hired us a phenomenal attorney, and we still have her. She's our lawyer now.
Okay.
And she got it out the way. They was more so worried about me and my best friend Christina getting away from the Mom Moses family, and they wanted to make it so that nobody could use a making horn while protesting.
Okay. And actually, just like your brother, Mr. McDowell's case, no officers were prosecuted in that case.
No, that's what happens in Delaware. No officer is ever held accountable. Actually, they're able to leave our force and join other forces without, nothing.
Okay.
So that
You,
happens here.
you mentioned another case, Harris, I think the last name was.
Yaheem Harris.
Yaheem Harris was were any officers convicted in that case?
Well, McCall was indicted, but not for shooting Lamont Moses. Yaheem Harris, he was indicted because they found out that he changed the barrel of his handgun.
Okay.
So he had his personal use handgun, using it as his service weapon.
Okay. Okay.
So that's why he was indicted. No officer has been indicted. Well, we have two now. One officer by the names of Waters just was indicted for slamming an African American man's head up against freezer doors in one of our corner store. And we just had another officer be brought up on charges for sending nude photos to a 17-year-old, which started when she was 15. He sent nude photos in his police uniform.
Okay.
And then a week later, they stopped his car, and he was in a car with a guy and got caught. The car had guns and drugs inside of it.
Okay. So that just goes to show, police officers are not above reproach. They are human, and they do mistakes. Now let's talk about what you are doing now. We talked about the website, and is I have it up on the screen, jmpolicereformnow.com. Now, what is your goal with that initiative?
From day one, the goal has always been that there will never be another Jeremy McDole. And if so, the family wouldn't fight as hard and ended up with a result like my family has. The Jeremy McDole Police Reform Now is we're working on it being a nonprofit. We just want meaningful police reform. We want meaningful legislation passed and bills that will actually protect us, we the people, and not protecting the police, because it seems like the police get away with everything here. And it's not just here. This is global.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
that's
what
just
what types of things do you think that might need to change, in Delaware that you see, but also, worldwide? I mean, nationwide, from
um
things that you've experienced.
I think the FOP, the Fraternal Order of Police,
Mm-hmm.
needs to go.
Okay.
Sorry, it needs to go, because these people are put in these positions to protect police by any means necessary. whether right or wrong. Nothing good has come out of the FOP. Every time we turn around, they don't want police reform. They're backing their officers 110%. And 9 times out of 10, these officers are wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that, my opinion, that the FOPs around the globe need to go, because it's an uphill battle. We have been fighting to get a bill passed by the name of SB 149. And the FOP has been fighting against it, which is why we don't have this bill now.
SB 149. Could you explain like the details?
So we have what you call here in Delaware is Leo Board. It's the Law Enforcement Officers Bill of Rights.
Okay.
The easiest way for me to explain it is police officers' Bibles.
All right.
It is an order of protection that sets the police above anybody and anything. Say, even if you have a lawyer that you hired, like in my brother's case, we hired lawyers. They were unable to go into police officers' records to see if this is something that these officers have done before, and like here or anywhere else. It's something that protects the police by any means necessary. Say if you get smacked upside your head by the police officer, you should really be able to Google to find out, did this officer do this to somebody else or not? You know what I'm saying? To find a track record to see if this is something that this officer repeatedly does. If he's a crooked officer, basically.
Yes.
And Leo Board here protects that. SB 149 would stop that. It will make it so we can have civilian review boards, so we don't have the police investigating the police. The problem around the world is we have the police investigating the police. And if you think about it, if you have a group of kids and you leave them unsupervised with no adult supervision, nobody to answer to, these kids are going to go crazy. And that is exactly what police officers around the nation are doing. And it needs to be stopped. It really does.
Yeah, Leopold. I think when I was up there at the Justice for All Day, I think my brother Hanif Salam was mentioning Leopold, and so that gives me, a deeper insight, because a lot of people will mention Leopold. I was like, who is Leopold?
We have the strictest one in the world here in Delaware. But you have to realize Delaware was the last state to abolish slavery. Let's take it there. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of our laws, which what I learned while fighting for justice and stuff, a lot of our laws haven't been looked at, haven't been changed, haven't been updated since 1960 something, 1901, if you want to take it back there. So we are working off of laws that were built to run slaves, honestly.
Exactly.
And that's a problem.
And you mentioned, I think at the time, the police chief and the mayor, what were your experiences with them dealing with your situation, but also dealing with other situations that you are, fighting for justice on?
So when everything happened with my brother, it was different police chiefs and a different mayor at the time. They went on national TV and said that they felt as though what their officers did was what they were supposed to do. Now, remember, this is even before the video got released of what happened to my brother. Okay. They did a video within, my brother was executed by 3:30. By 3:40, they was on the news giving their little speech. Okay. And that's when the video came out. That's when the second story got released of what happened to my brother.
So what did they say in response to the video? Did they make a statement?
They said that he was a suicidal man and he had shot himself. That was the first report. That he was a suicidal man and he had shot himself and he was something. And then the video got out. And they said he was a suicidal man and he was waving a gun. This was before the video got out. It was released. When the video was released, they said, oh, he was reaching for a gun. Now, my thing with people in Delaware in general is God blessed all of us with these two things right here. And these two things. Why is it so hard for people to take the time out and watch the video? Take the time out to read the investigation report. Because if you watch the video, you will see that, for one, my brother was never suicidal. He was in a wheelchair. My brother was the happiest person. You couldn't tell him nothing. He did willies and stuff all day long, okay? He was never suicidal. And it just doesn't make sense. You don't see him waving a gun, and you don't see him reaching for a gun in the video. What he was doing in the video is something that he always does. When a person is a paraplegic, they feel as though they always have to stretch. So when you see him like lifting up in his wheelchair, that's just something that he always has done since day one of him being a paraplegic. So I already knew when they put that narrative out that he was reaching for a gun. I'm like, no, he was stretching and trying to pull up his pants.
Yeah. And if I watched the video, and I watched the as the Department of Justice called it, the processed video, which kind of slows everything down, and you see him pulling up his pants, but they tried to slow it down to make it as if he's reaching for something, which I kind of know how they that perception that it slows down, but in real time you can see he's just readjusting himself, as you say, getting himself together. And mind you, at that time he was already shot in the neck anyway.
And that's what I want people to understand. By that time, he was already shot in the neck with a shotgun. The neck. If you get shot in your neck with a shotgun, I don't think you will be able to. You won't even be able to understand what anybody is screaming at you at that time. You're dying, and you're dying slowly.
And you're definitely not trying to pull a gun, even if you had one.
You are in pain. You don't have the energy to pull a gun on nobody.
You're in shock. You're in shock.
And my brother wasn't a big guy neither. He was as skinny as me. So he like that. Listen. After everything happened with my brother, we went to the medical examiner's office to get his body released to the funeral home so that we can start the process of having a funeral and burying him. They refused to release my brother's body. We got a hold of the governor, and the governor immediately told them to release his body. Congo's funeral home and came and got my brother's body and took it to their funeral home. And when they got there, we got on the phone and called like, I know this may be weird, but is it possible if a few of my family members come up there to inspect Bam Bam's body, okay? Jeremy McDowell's body. And they said, let me call you back. They called us back and said, yeah, but one thing, we're going to have you guys sign documentation that you guys do understand that this is the way his body got to us, and we have not touched it because his body was so tore up. I sent you pictures of his body.
Yes.
And that was an experience that I would never forget. Looking at my brother's body, and you got to remember he had just left the medical examiner's office. By that time, his head was already separated from his skull. It was guts and stuff leaking from everywhere, but it was just a process that we had to do. We knew how many shots we heard inside in the video. We knew how many shots, but we wanted to count them so that we were speaking facts when we started this process of fighting for him. And you've seen the pictures, they number up to 17. That's not including the shotgun blast, because when you're shot with a shotgun, there's little pellets that is released inside your body. So and then the one shot from the robbery, which was on the back of the thigh. A lot of people think normally when somebody is shot, sometimes they have a bowel movement on themselves or they pee themselves. Yeah. No, if you slow that video down, it's blood. He got shot in the back of his thigh. So this whole time while they're finishing killing him, he was already shot in the back of his thigh, sitting in a pool of blood. It wasn't poop. It wasn't pee. It was blood from him being shot in the back of his thigh. And we went up there, me, my mother, my uncle, my cousin. We went up there and we inspected his body from head to toe. We turned his body over. We did everything to see. And you got to think about this. Like, if you don't take nothing for me but this tonight, when a hunter is hunting in the wild, they don't shoot a wild animal as many times as they shot my brother September 23rd, 2015. They didn't. It was roadkill. The 911 operator already stated in the investigation report that they were going to take my brother out when he got there. The 911 caller already set the narrative, which I believe she should have been in jail as well, because she lied and said he had a gun. And then later on, when interviewed, she stated she never seen a gun. She was going off the gunshot that she heard.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy. Shotgun Joe should immediately went to jail because his other officers was there on the scene longer than him. Instead of he coming to the scene and asking questions and find out where he should be placed in this, he came to execute my brother, exactly what the 911 operator said. And he was never dispatched to the area. He showed up on his own to the area.
Okay.
And within 3 seconds exactly, he shot Jeremy Mcdowell in the neck with a shotgun.
Wow. So we're going to keep it going, beyond the radio, because I got a couple of more questions to ask you, but we got about 2 minutes on the radio for our listening audience. What is it that you want the audience to know? How can they get in contact if they do want to, help continue? Or
you can find me on Facebook. I am married now. I got married last year. My name on Facebook is Keandra. Thank you. It's Keandra Ray. You can go to the JMPoliceReformNow.com. We have a Facebook page called Jeremy Bam Mcdole that I'm very active on, as well as members of my family. Listen, I'm around. Inbox me if you want to talk. I'll give you my number. I am an open book to this. Please don't be afraid to ask me any questions. If you didn't understand something that I said on this show, inbox me. I'll give you my number and we can go back all through this again if that's what you need. But I ask that if it's another family in your area that's going through this, I ask that you hold them and stand right beside them and help them fight for justice, because this is a depressing fight and it's a lonely fight. And we need y'all.
Definitely, man. And once again, I just want to thank our guest, Mrs. Keandra McDole Ray, for just being, just a catalyst for justice and change, and not allowing, the intimidation, the formidable nature of, trying to go against a system that's continuously, as you said, justifying itself, whether it's the those Leopold laws, or even the unspoken laws of the fraternal brotherhood, by not allowing police to go against their brother even when they know they are wrong. There's I talk about a thin blue line that's never crossed, because officers have this, once again, brotherhood. So once again, if you guys are listening, if you guys know any resources to help, or if you are interested in helping police reform, not only in Delaware but anywhere, in the United States, and are interested in hearing more about this story, you can reach out to her. But I thank you guys for listening. We're going to be back with you next week. Once again, we thank Ms. McDowell for coming.
Thank you.
For this program is brought to you by the
Okay, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. And they said, Jay Renee says they executed Bam, and it's disgusting. My father wants to be strong in the Lord and the power of his might. And Aaron Picasso Ray, I guess that's your husband, holds up.
Yes.
Thank you so much for tuning in. So how has losing Bam affected your family?
The main person that I try to hold close to me is my mother. My mother, in the beginning, before all this happened, she had an addiction. It's like ever since everything happened with my brother, it's got worse. And I just try to hold her close. I try to bear with her and understand, that at the end of the day, this is my brother, but that is her first son. That's her first child, and I try to understand, like, she's going through, I'm hurt, so I know she has to be going through even more pain. And it's hard. I think a lot of people forget in this fight, when dealing with me and my family, is that we didn't ask to be in this fight. We're not just joining this fight. We were forced into this fight. So I think a lot of people, like, sometimes forget, like, this isn't just a name that we picked up. Like, this is actually, you know, our baby. This is like my twin, my brother. Like, I take this serious. Like, it's my twin. And yeah, I just try to hold my mom close. That's it.
So, and that picture I think you sent me, I think y'all was little kids.
Oh yeah.
Was that? But so, how many do y'all guys have more brothers and sisters?
Yes, my mom had 6 kids. So now it was 4 boys and 2 girls. So now it's 3 boys and 2 girls. I'm the oldest now.
Okay, so how are they taking it as far as you know?
We were our relationship is real close. Like, we were very close, even with my cousins. Like, we all was born and raised in the same household, so it's never cousins. Like, we're all brothers and sisters.
Okay.
So it affects the whole family. Like, you can see it. You can see it. And I think that's a lot of it too. Why a lot of them don't like invest themselves 100% into this fight, because they're going through something mentally too. And this isn't something that happened in another state. We have to we walk and ride by this area where he was executed at every day.
So y'all still live in the same area?
Yeah. It's like, it's here. Like, it's no getting away from it. So we just hold each other close. We laugh, we cry, we fight, we argue, you know. we get through it the best way that we can. And we try to keep his name alive.
So do you ever get discouraged, you know, in the fight for justice? And if you do, what keeps you going?
Oh man, discouraged. Yes, I get discouraged. Yes. I would have to say what keeps me going is my husband will not let me give up. I mean, I got married with my megahorn. I walked down the aisle with my megahorn. Okay. So I am fully invested in my best friend, Christina Kelly. She is like my number one, like, oh my, she's like the number one person. Like, if I'm getting discouraged, she picks up the pieces and like, no, like, kick me in my butt. Like, no, you better keep going. Like, we ain't got time for this. And what made me like draw me closer to her is because the first thing she said, she's white. Okay. And she was like, yeah, no, we gonna get this done. And that's what we gonna do. We gonna fight for justice, and we gonna get this done. Cause I'm gonna use my white privilege that they claim I was born with, and we're gonna get this together. And I love that about her. And, you know, she has an uncle who was a police officer. So she brings a different, you know, stance from all of this. And we all went to the same school too. So she knows Bam Bam. Jeremy McDowell, she knows him. So it's like, being discouraged is hard, because police brutality and violence happens every day. So you always have something to do. So you can't get discouraged. You got to keep going.
Yeah. And shout out to Christina as well. And shout out to Jay Renee, and shout out to everybody who's watching, Aaron Picasso Ray. Now, y'all actually had a press conference today. Now, what was that?
The three Stooges, Jay Renee, Christina Kelly, and Keandra McDole. They already know when we come together. They already know. It was basically informing the public and telling the community about JM police reform. Now, we had just had a budget hearing about the Wilmington Police, how much money they was going to get for the year Monday. And they're asking for more money. So we were just thinking that it was $60.2 million that our Wilmington Police was getting.
60?
Yes, 60. Yeah, $60.2 million. They were asking for another $2.4 million to be added to that 60. Yeah, point. Yeah. Okay. So we was bringing in the public, the informing the public on, like, we need them to stand up and say, no, this is not what we want. More police, funding the police is not going to equal a safer community for us. Like, no, it's not. Like, put more money back into our communities. They don't even put 4% of that into parks and recreation, like programs that's funded for the youth and for stuff for them to do that they need in the city. That's what the press release is about.
And I think I read somewhere on somebody's social media that they were asking for like $100 and something thousand for just bullets. I think somebody.
Oh yeah, that was Christina. She's excellent. She's a computer warrior. Yeah.
So and that's what a lot of
want more bullets to kill us. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't understand. You have to really dig deep into what they want the money for. It's not just
Exactly.
they're getting the money, but you got to really investigate. Okay, where is this money going?
And they're good with that. And this is something that we're seeing frequently with every police agency nationwide, is that they'll tell you the amount that they want, but they kind of hide exactly what they want it for under something else. Like at the budget hearing, they were basically trying to glorify that they were removing 7 positions in the Wilmington Police Department, which will save us about 600 and something $1,000. But then came back and sneakily threw in that they need an extra 2 point something million. You know what I'm saying? So what are we winning?
Okay, yeah, you're losing
A lot. A lot.
Yeah. So what's next for family, the JM police reform now?
That is a good question. This week we had so much going on. We actually had 3 billboards being put up in the city to inform the community on how much money the police department gets, where the money should be going to, and what our community needs, which we need meaningful police reform. I don't know exactly what is next on the list. This is a learning experience as we go. So we kind of all come to a group. There's no head person in charge. We're all equal. So we just come up, sit down in the group and figure out the next steps. I hope it's going to be another billboard with my brother's face on it, but I don't know if that'll get approved.
Okay. Oh, so did y'all try to get one with this face on? Because I know you mentioned you got 3 billboards up now, and you said you were going back and forth with, I guess, the city or the police or somebody.
I really want that billboard to go up around the time that the Jeremy McDole Day event is going to be happening, September 24th, which is a free community event that we do. We try to put on for the community every year, every other year. It's free food. It's games, prizes for adults and kids. It's moon bounces, balloon twisters, activity tables. We block off the street so kids can safely run back and forth across the street till they tire themselves out. It's a whole bunch of candy and fruits, a little bit of vegetables. It's just a day for the kids, like a family block party.
So how long have y'all been doing that?
We started that in 2016. We do community Easter egg hunts. We do community Valentine's Day parties. We do community raffles where we might just jump on Facebook and decide to do a raffle and have people pick a number from 1 to 20, and whoever guesses the right number, they get a nice prize. So we do anything to get back to the community, because that's just what we here for, to uplift the community. And my brother loved helping people. I couldn't stand it that much because he always gave his last. He be hungry, giving somebody his last to go eat, and he's hungry. But we try to keep that still going on through his name. So that's what we do.
And back to the case, since you mentioned Bam again. You mentioned something about the medical examiner too, right?
Mm-hmm. It's 2 things. The ballistic guy, whoever that they hired to check the fingerprints and the ballistics of the gun, Carl Rome. Mm-hmm. So Carl Rome was brought up on charges and fired from their department because he was falsifying evidence and falsifying time. So now we have a crooked cop who shot my brother for changing. We have a crooked cop who's later been brought up on charges for changing the barrel of his gun. And then the ballistic guy in my brother's case is brought up on charges for falsifying evidence, not in my brother's case, but just, happened to whatever. And for falsifying time and evidence.
Yeah, that goes to show his character.
Yeah, and I thought that alone would be enough to, reopen my brother's case, because we have the ballistic guy who claimed that, the gun was planted. We know it's not his, but he was the one who touched the gun. So I thought that would be enough for them to go back and reopen the case a 3rd time, but it's not. Because what I learned is there is no statutory limit on murder. That's what I want other families to understand. So while they telling you that it's a limit for this and that and this and that, there's no limit on murder. So you always can go back and have your loved one's case reopened if you find evidence to do so. So don't get discouraged. Whether it's 20 years from now, it's a possibility that, hey, an officer might be in a bar talking and slip up and say something and admit to what he did wrong, and he can be brought up on charges for murder.
And so you mentioned, because actually y'all did get it reopened, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how long ago was that, or how long ago was that after?
That was in, I believe it was 2020 when we got the case back open. It was 4 years later because that's when she released a picture of this planted gun. Basically she did absolutely nothing. The reason why we asked for the case to be back open is because we had a couple new witnesses who came forward, and she basically went with the former attorney general's ruling, basically, and no cops was charged again.
So did she allow those witnesses to present evidence?
Oh yeah, she allowed them. They spoke with them, because in the beginning I was like, no, like, you gotta lock into reopening my brother's case. I'm not going to give you the witnesses' names so that you can somehow Wilmington police can find out who the witnesses are. And now it's retaliation. And now you got these witnesses terrified to tell or say what they need to say. So that's what happened. She reopened the case, and then we gave her the names of the witnesses, and they met with the witnesses or whatever, and still came to the same conclusion.
Okay. So Christina, I think, said that y'all plan on negotiating some legislation.
That's the part. That's the next step, legislation. Protesting and everything, it does work. I don't want to discourage nobody from protesting, because I still protest at the drop of a dime. But legislation is where you really want to be involved in and start changing laws and stuff to protect other people in the future. And that's where we are focusing a lot of our time at now, is legislation, just learning the process and different things to see what senators we have on our team, which ones we don't, who are for police reform, meaningful police reform, let me rephrase that, and who isn't, who we gonna need to bird dog or apply more pressure to make sure that they jump on the board with what's right and stop allowing what's wrong to keep on happening.
And you did mention a couple of city politicians that are actually on your side, right?
Yes. Like today we had our city council president, Trippy Congo. He has been for police reform since day one. He has been by my family side since day one. And we have a councilwoman by the name of Charnay Darby. Amazing. She actually got elected, and running, her whole campaign was running on police reform, meaning police reform, defund the police. And she lives in a district here in the city of Wilmington that's a whole bunch of older people. And she got elected into position. So we have been like side by side together, like trying to figure this thing out. And she's learning too, so we're all learning together.
So she's younger.
Oh yeah, she's my age. I'm like 34. I think Darby might be a little younger than me, I think. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's good that you have people on your side. And once again, back to a situation that you talked about earlier about the settlement. I'm not going to mention the amount, but do you get people coming after you know, your family, for financial reasons, or has that all passed over? And if so, how do you handle that?
No, that I believe that's going to always be, because people, the news people, basically when they release the amount of money that we got back from the settlement, that's basically in hood language, setting a price tag on somebody's head, putting a bounty on somebody's head. So it never stops. But we did come to an agreement with everybody in the community, like, this money, there's no way to turn this money into good money. It's blood money. So the only way to make this money positive, or the only way to make the money positive, is to find a way to flip it to be good, to help the community, and to do what we do. We do free community events all year long. People always come forward. I'm like I didn't know this until now, but I'm like, I always feel as though I have to help people. I guess my brother jumped into my body, so now, I wasn't with that at first, but so I'm always like with my husband, like, babe, you see that child with no shoes? Like, come on, let's go to Walmart. Let's go buy him a whole bunch of shoes and just drop them off at the doorstep or something.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just the type of people that we are. We always will help out and try not to turn anybody down, especially if they come to you and say it's for a light bill or food. How you going to say, no, I can't help you? Like, you got babies? Like, no. So.
Yeah. Speaking of family, because you said you met your husband, Mr. Picasso Ray, during a protest. Is that right?
Yes. No, I met him a couple days before my brother's funeral. We were trying to get t-shirts made.
Okay.
And he had a shop and we went there last minute. We needed all these shirts made and went there and asked him, and ever since then asked him could he do the shirts, and he agreed to it. And then we grew a bond, and ever since then it's like protests. He does all of our shirts. He does all of our signs. He airbrushes our signs. And we just fell in love, I guess.
Okay. So he was there with you during a very difficult time.
Oh, yes. I pray for that man, y'all. Pray for that man because he gets it all. Like, he gets y'all get this side of Keandra. He gets it all. The emotions, the when I want to cuss somebody out and can't really do it out in public, I gotta do it behind closed door. He gets it all. So he's strong. I don't understand. I don't know how he does it sometimes because he sees me break down and cry when a lot of people don't. They just see me as this person in the street fighting. But nobody really gets to see that side of me. So he does. So he's awesome.
Yeah, when they say good people. So you have two children of your own, right?
Oh yeah. My children are ready for the world too.
Yes. Are you teaching them about, what happened, or like how old are they, first of all?
My kids are 3 and 4.
So do they really understand what it is that you do?
I wish they was up so you can ask them that question and they can answer it for you. They know about Uncle Bam Bam. They know how many times he was shot. They know about the movement. They know that when mommy is dead and gone, that you are to continue on this movement. They know how to operate a megaphone. They know about crooked cops. They know about good cops, and they know about questionable cops. Yeah, my daughter, and my son are ready.
I saw like the social media posts earlier where they had the megaphones and they was saying, what you say? You say cricket cops?
I was not expecting for her to say that, but yeah.
Yeah, so you must hear that a lot.
Yeah, they hear a lot of my chants that I do at my protests. They see me on the news a lot. On Facebook. So they're
Oh, okay. So you take them to the actual protest, like
No.
Okay.
I wouldn't be able to refrain if anything happened while at the protest. A protest, we hold peaceful protests. Nothing's popped off or went crazy because we stand on peaceful protests. Now we might irritate you, but they're peaceful protests. But I just don't feel comfortable of having my children out there because while we're protesting, it's people riding by, sticking up their middle fingers, yelling racial slurs. And one time we got into it with the Proud Boys. Somebody pulled a gun out on us.
Wow.
So and it was a peaceful protest. So I try to keep all kids, even other people that were standing beside. I tell them no kids involved because you never know what can happen. Being an activist is a very dangerous job. Yes. And we need for everybody to understand that when you see an activist, like, just know that their life is on the line and protect them by any means necessary because they're not working behind the scenes. They're on the front lines. And when you take that role on, I'm gonna be an activist, you're basically signing up for it all. So no, I would tell other people not to bring their kids to protest. I don't think that that's a good place, but they could watch it live and stuff.
Okay. And just, referring back to Bam, because once again, this is who it's about. What do you how do you think he would feel about what you're doing in his name?
That is a question that I constantly ask myself. I don't know. Like it's sometimes I could feel like it feels like his presence. I could feel like when I feel like he's here and he sees me doing it. A lot of people say that I know that he's proud of you. I wish I had a sister like you. But I don't know. I really don't know because I don't know. That's something I can't answer. That's a question that I would love to know, but that's just something that I can't answer.
And this here you mentioned that because, like I said, like I told you the first night we talked, and you sent me all the information and the reports and the articles, and I told you I just couldn't sleep, so I had to get up and start
Yeah.
reading. You, so that was Bam Bam messing with you.
He was a prankster. Like he believed in jokes. Like he was one of them jokesters. Like he always had a prank or always smile, always had something. It irritated me but made other people laugh. But yeah, he was a prankster. He loved kids. Like he was a good guy. Like his record, yeah, was something different, but him personally, like if you met him, you wouldn't think that, judge him by his record. You'd be like, yo, he's an awesome guy. Like he's funny as heck. Like, can you come to my house? Come to the barbecues. Like you got me laughing all day. But
Yeah, I got and I understand. Just like my brother, I forgot his name. The sit down interview. I think Jay Renee told me his name. That what you was the one who did the interview that I kept referring to when we talked.
Hanif?
No, not Hanif. The one that
Jay Street. Jay Street.
Yeah, so he mentioned about like smoking weed and having a record, like it's really like weed is almost legal, and so people try to it always seems like they try to vilify or criminalize somebody after they're dead. Say, okay, well he had a record, he smoked weed, which really doesn't matter.
They put my mom's mugshot. Like the crazy part about it is that they put my brother's mugshot out there, but they put my mom's mugshot out there. Like it was like every day the news people were trying to like hurt my mom, put her in a depression or something, to make her try to kill herself or something. I don't know with the way that they was going about things.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, Christina said he's smiling on her like he did today over the billboards.
Yes.
So, and like I said, I've been shot. I got a record like terrible, probably, worse than both you, everybody. But I've been shot and everything. So just going back to Bam again, how was he shot the first time?
Like I said, Bam Bam always loved helping people. A boy came down here from St. Croix, Virgin Islands, and him and Bam Bam got cool and became friends. And this whole time, Bam Bam was selling weed or whatever, and the boy got jealous of him. He wanted what Bam Bam got. And he came to Ronnie Street to get Bam Bam. They walked up to the Chinese store to get a Dutch. Walked down a different street. Next thing you hear 6 shots go off. Pow, 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 pow. I was the one who found my brother. 6 shots. He got shot 6 times in the back with a .40 caliber.
Wow.
Right around the corner.
At the age of 18 and survived.
Yeah. It didn't look like that because they had to rush him in. They had to keep his body open for like a week because they said if they closed him, then so he was swole so much that his body would explode because he was swollen so bad. But that's how he got shot. Jealousy. The boy ended up getting caught. The U.S. Marshals end up going to the Virgin Islands and getting the boy. And he's currently serving 37 years here. And then when he leaves here, he has to serve a life sentence from killing somebody in the Virgin Islands.
Oh, so he was thank you. So he was just a rogue.
Yeah.
So but how did I know, like you said, in the because that was like 10 years later, when the police executed him. But of course that had to be hard for him at first.
I think it hurted us more than him. I remember the first day that he woke up and we had to tell him that he was paralyzed, and one tear came down his eyes. And then after that, he was like, so I'm gonna have to use one of them wheelchair things. So I guess I'm gonna be just popping willies on my dang life then. And ever since then, his exact words. And ever since then, it's like it was like motivation. Like he had it. He knew that was his legs. Like the wheelchair was his legs. So he adapted to it more normal. The doctors were even surprised because he was in the hospital for about 9 months after he got shot.
Uh-huh.
with learning how to operate and stuff like that. When my brother was executed, he was living at a nursing home. I don't think I said that.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, he was living at a nursing home. From him sitting in his wheelchair for so long, he got bed sores. And the bed sore was down by his butt area. And it got infected with MRSA. So he was
What is MRSA?
It's basically like, I guess, like a blood eating disease or something, like from an infection.
Okay.
And being as though it's normal for paraplegics, being so they sit down a lot, and he didn't move, so they had him in a nursing home to try to make the bed sore dry out some so that it can heal. So yeah.
How long was he staying there before that?
He was, I believe he was in a nursing home maybe about 2 months, maybe. He wasn't in there long. He had just got out the hospital from the bed sore.
Okay, so that situation just came
about. And yes, and the police went there and went through his room at the nursing home looking for a gun.
Okay, after they've already said, okay, he had a gun, there's no reason to go.
Yeah, because my mom was his emergency contact down at the nursing home. So she got a call from one of the nurses that the police was in Jeremy's room right now and had the whole facility on lockdown, wouldn't allow nobody to go down the hallway. And they were searching his room. The nurse said she kept asking the police, why are y'all here? What are y'all doing? We have other clients down this hall we got to get to. And they said that nobody was going down that hall. They believed there was a gun in this room, and that was my brother's room.
But they never found the gun. Yeah. And so why did they call him Bam Bam? Where did they get that?
When my mom was carrying him, he used to always punch her stomach, she said. So she would always be like, Bam Bam. And that's how he got his name. They used to call me Pebbles. I changed that name. Like, we're not going to do this, okay? Bam Bam Pebbles. No, it's not happening. No. Yeah, so that's how he got his name, because he used to always punch on my mom's belly when he was in her stomach. She said that's how he got his name.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And I just appreciate your attitude and the way you are able to talk about the subject with passion, but also have a sense of humor about it, because I know that that's a delicate balance, man. But I just want to commend you. I'm gonna let you go because I know you got kids, the hubby and everything.
Oh, my kids been asleep at 7:00. We got curfew here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But we're gonna go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just want to say thank you for allowing my family to come on here and allow people to see the truth. Just taking the time. I would like to thank everybody who's been watching for taking the time out to actually being curious and learning about what took place instead of believing the narrative that was pushed out there for September 23rd, 2015. That's the easy route to go.
Yes.
And I would just like to say thank you. Like, if anybody has any other questions, if you have questions, like you forgot to ask me a question, I'm an open book. Text me whenever. I will respond. Don't text me, call me, because you know how that goes. But and I will tell it. It's like my brother is living through me. Somebody told me in the beginning that I need to put my pain into a movement. Don't allow the pain to consume you. You put your pain into the movement. And that's what I've been doing since day one. I'm finishing my brother's story.
Definitely, man. And we're gonna continue that story. Like I said, I want to do a totally separate story.
There's so much more. Like
yeah, I know. There's so much more. This I knew we might have to bring you on again, but until then, man, like I said, if there's anything that we can do here, just let us know. I want to thank everybody who stood beside you. Thank everybody who's watching, Jay, Renee, Aaron, Christina, my father, Felicia. Just thank everybody, for just taking the time out. People who are, will go back and look at this, man, because once again, this is a story that just get kind of swept up in everything that goes on a day-to-day basis. But, we have people out here who really, deserve some attention and some justice, and who are still fighting and fighting for what is right, and that is most importantly, police reform, like meaningful police reform. Don't just take them to the history of African American Museum. Say, okay, well, yeah,
Right.
that, okay, they've been trained now. No, we really, change policies, change, change everything. Felicia Mitchell says, God bless you for your strength, and may God surround you with everlasting peace.
Thank you.
Definitely, I thank you guys for watching.
Thank you.
And we're going to end the broadcast now, but Carla Davis, thank you, says, thank you. I needed to hear this. So thank you as well, Ms. Davis. So yeah, we're going to, is there anything else that you want to leave with the audience before we go?
Just if you know a family that is experiencing a loved one, like murder by police brutality or just murder in general, because we have a lot of that going around in different cities. Unity is the cure. I say this over and over and over. What do I think needs to happen? We need to unite, no matter race, color, religion, sex. It doesn't matter. We all need to unite. That is the cure. Unite. If we all come together and fight this together, the only way is up from here. Like, it's time for us to put all the other stuff to the side and come together as we the people, and let's get this government the way that it should be.
Definitely. And that is liberty and justice for all, they say. So I want to thank you again, my sister. Like I said, with anything I can do, just let me know. And we'll be talking again soon. And I guess I'll see all of our viewers here next week. Wish y'all have a blessed and prosperous week, the rest of the end of the week. And we thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.